Hello everyone, and welcome to So Many Games All the Time. My name is Joachim, and today we'll be talking about G.I. Joe, the deck building game, and why I absolutely love this game. So, I love deck builders in general, and when I saw G.I. Joe, I was a little bit nostalgic. I thought I used to like G.I. Joe as a kid, and I decided to give it a shot, but I didn't have much hope for it, because it's an IP, and IPs don't always get the love they deserve. But yeah, in the end, I'm really happy I did, because I really, really love this game. It has several things that make it stand out, but as usual, I'm going to open the box and we're going to see exactly what I like about it, and so on. We've got some ads still in here that I didn't throw away. For example, in this series, you got G.I. Joe, but you also got Power Rangers, you also got Transformers. I think you even got it's not here, but you also have My Little Pony. But I'm not interested in any of those. Maybe My Little Pony for my daughters, but that's it. So here we have the manual. The manual was okay. Not always as clear as it should be. We call it board game English, that can be interpreted in different ways. But there's always BGG to help you out when it comes to that. You can already see there's one expansion, which is Shadow of the Serpent. So I'll talk a little bit about that expansion in a bit, because these pieces here are from the expansion, actually, most of it. So first of all, what is different in this game? Just like many of these deck builder games, you have a threat meter, and this is the threat meter, the Cobra. So you start in green, yellow, and red. Of course, if you finish in the end, you lose. What is cool about this is that actually it goes up every round. So even if you play really well, it's bound to go up regardless. Although sometimes you can make it come down again. And also this phase, for example, has the CBs always come out. You'll see them, they're like enemies. And over here means it becomes very, very dangerous. You have two sides as well, one for 3 to 4 players, one for 1 to 2, but I almost exclusively play this solo. Well, actually, I've never played with other people. I don't really feel the need to, but more about that later. So this is for the solo game. So what is cool about this, I feel, is this humongous deck of missions. Now, of course, there's an expansion in there as well with the Rise of the Serpents. But each deck basically is one mission. So you have, let's say, I think this will probably be Rise of the Serpents, I'm pretty sure. Because you have the snake and everything. Anyway, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Rescue the Scientist? I don't think so. So what happens is these golden ones, you can see 1, 2, and 3. These are the ones that will be in the deck in the game for sure. The other ones, they'll be shuffled and a certain amount of missions will be drawn. But what I like about these especially is the arts. You can see the arts, typical G.I. Joe stuff. There's also a nice description of what's going on at that point. And you can see if you manage to, when you do the mission, regardless if you win or fail, you will be continuing. But if you win, you get certain bonuses. If you fail, basically it becomes more difficult. So you want to try to avoid failing as much as possible. And of course they gradually become more difficult, and you have all your different characters that from the series that are in there that will also take part in these missions. Some are noticeably more difficult than others. But yeah, that's the point, right? You don't want to have a game that's too easy. But you can see how cool it is, how nice it looks. If you're into G.I. Joe at all, this is really a must-buy. But once again, what do I like about it? I like the mission stuff, like I just said. I like that a lot. But what I also like, what I like even more, is how it handles deck building. So, for example, you start with, where are these starter cards? These ones, maybe it's just these ones over here. No. You can see this is extremely well prepared. One of these contains the starter cards. Probably here. Yes. So these are your starting Joes. Now you can see the 0 is their cost because they're starter. 1 is the money they provide, the stars, those are money. And then of course you also have the bottom action. So it always gives you a little hint of why I like this. It says if this card is if this card is part of a successful mission, you may destroy this card. So you're sending out your people on missions. And you're doing that with vehicles. So you start with one vehicle. Did I add it here somewhere? Yes, the Vamp. So it says there's room for 4 people. After the mission, return a Vamp to the hangar. So if you have like 5 Joes, for example, you can choose 4 of them, put them in the Jeep and go and do a mission. And then for these missions, sometimes if you have a certain type of transport, it will make it easier. You'll get extra dice to roll. So for example, here you have a tank, you have an airplane, a boat. So it really does help out if you have the correct vehicles, because you do have a bunch of vehicles in the game. You just saw the Vamp, that's basic, but then all the green cards are vehicles. Let's see if I can quickly find a green card. I can see it over there already. Here, this is a C-130 Hercules. You can carry 11 Joes. So you can take 11 Joes to try and complete a mission, which is bonkers, of course. And also, if it's a tank, you may bring 1 additional tank transport or land transport on this mission, but count only as bonuses. For example, yeah, the AWE Striker, right? So that's more like a land vehicle then. And here we have the Killer Whale, which is amphibian, I guess, but mostly treated here as a water transport. So all of these, even more, the Sky Striker. But of course, it is a deck builder, so you need to be lucky that it comes out when you need it. But I like how the game handles buying stuff, because normally in a regular game, in a regular deck builder, you either use the card for its power, or well, the power would be at the bottom, or for its money, right? If you use it for one, you can't use it for the others. But here, you send them out on a mission, they come back, and you can still use the money. So you can actually do both every round. Every round you are buying and you are sending them out on missions and so on. You don't have to choose. So for example, with Chuckles, you can send him out, he comes back, he's still worth 1. With Bomb Strike, send her out, she comes back, you still have 2. So that's pretty nifty. That is the main reason actually why I like this game so much, because it's something that I can't do anywhere else. Maybe there's other games that have that mechanic, but that one really sealed the deal, plus the fact that you have to send them out on missions and so on. And then I haven't even said anything about the heroes, because you always start with your hero, for example, Joe here. And then later on, you can find Joe, where is he? I can't find him here immediately. Let's take another example. Let's do Roadblock. You have Roadblock here, because I think I saw Roadblock here. Yeah, here he is. So this is Roadblock, his normal card, which you might start the game with. And then here, the promoted leader. So you can actually spend money to promote, and he becomes way stronger. Also, with many of these missions, they're going to be looking for these keywords like marksman, explosives, tech, stealth, martial arts, vehicles, recon. So there's tracker, tech. There's so many of them, and they basically give your units extra dice to roll, because if it's a dice roll, you want to have as many as possible, right? So for example, here, if you do the mission, destroy the mass device, it says marksman or explosives. So you need to have those if you go in there. To be able to do it, and also it gives you bonuses again. So I also like that idea that you have to like diversify your deck when certain missions come up. Once again, it is kind of, this is kind of random at times, because you have the river where you can buy cards from, and if the river really isn't that good, then it can slow you down a little bit. And then here, but then again, stuff might happen and you might need those cards anyway. Because another cool set of cards that you can buy, you don't just have the Joes, right? You don't just have the vehicles, but you also have utilities. For example, change all 1-hit die results to 2. That's really cool. Or the equipment like sniper rifle, +2 wild skills. That means you can have 2 dice if you attach it to someone who's on a mission. So all this stuff like drone strike, choose 1 Joe on this mission, their highest skill becomes wild. So suddenly they're becoming super useful. So even if you have kind of like what you would say not that good cards, you can still mitigate it by getting other cards and so on. There are several playthroughs on the channel where I might be playing well or not. And then of course you have the bad guys, because for example, if you see, once again, let's say this mission, Overwhelmed, you can see this number 2. These are 2 cards that are added from this deck, which of course, once again, with the expansion has even more cards. Okay, the complications, and they might really annoy you because they make everything more difficult. For example, this is from the expansion. If the command center is not complete, you go up 2 spots on the track, all right? Or here, put 1 ninja into the command center, a player gains 1 ninja, but once again, that is the expansion, maybe one that's not expansion. Here, Fang Squadron. So you reveal it, it becomes a side mission that you put next to you, right? So you need to have 3 successes, explosives or vehicles. At the end of your turn, it goes up. So if you don't get rid of this side mission as soon as possible, it's going to keep bumping up the track. So these things can sometimes be really annoying. Some are a little bit easier, but you know, the complications are there as well. Then here you have the Cobra Troopers. They might be put into the game once again to these cover up spots in the river to make it more difficult to buy cards. Of course, you then get rid of them. CB, that's the Cobra Battalion. Actually, no, it's these guys who cover up, because it says players cannot interact with covered cards. The Cobra Troopers are sometimes, they place into your discard pile. And then when it comes out, you have to defeat it. And then if it's not defeated, it's discarded. And then you also have the ninjas, which is the expansion. And then you have the bosses, basically the mini bosses that might come out to once again annoy you. Because sometimes you have to defeat these before you continue the missions. Serpentor, Firefly, Dr. Venom, Dr. Mindbender, Storm Shadow, Baroness, Cobra Commander, Zartan, Major Blood, Destro. So this game actually made me rewatch G.I. Joe on YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. It's a blast from the past. It's a lot of fun. So what does the this is expert mode as well to make it more difficult, right? To add more stuff to it. Solo wise, it's pretty cool because you have this little piece here, and it allows you to save a card from one round to the next. And also you have this solo bit here that you always try to flip, because basically you're doing 2 turns and then it's their turn again. So it flips it, and it's a very easy way to remember where you are. These are the dice. They're okay. Nothing special, but you know, you're bound to hate them after a while anyway. So what does the expansion add? More cards, more stories, but it also adds the... Oh yeah, by the way, you have the hangar where you put all your vehicles. Okay. You have the basically the command center, right? So I'm trying to remember how everything was built. I'm gonna have to cheat because I don't remember the exact setup. Like this. So here we have laser cannon. Then here we have the repair bay, battle station, stockade, and the command room. So like this. So basically you don't start with this, but it starts the other way around. And then you can pay to activate it. And then you can have these bonuses while you're playing. For example, the laser cannon, we have an additional die on the SAD mission. The battle station, when it's a group mission, you reroll 1 die. Things like that. But of course, it costs a lot of money. And they'll send, as you can see, as you have seen, they send some enemies to certain locations to block that then as well. If it's like the command room, for example. Because it says here, if none of the command center tiles are covered, draw 1 additional card, which is huge already. So that's what that adds. As another expansion, this one, Cold Snap, as you can see, it's still in film. I haven't opened it yet, but supposedly this adds more of the same. Plus, it says here, new towable assets. So you can see these 2 have special things. So a mobile missile system, stuff like that. So apparently it adds that, plus new stuff like 31 player cards, 39 Cobra cards, 2 expert mode cards, 36 mission cards. So yeah, why do I like this game so much in general? I've said it's the mechanics where you can buy and you can attack in the same round. The missions, they go from level 1 to level 2, level 3. You're really feeling like the story makes sense as well. I like the art, I like the theme, I like the different types of cards you have in the game. Especially like the variety now with all the expansions. Apparently there's another expansion on the way. So yeah, for me, this is a really, really nice game. If you like deck building, if you like G.I. Joe even in the slightest, I really suggest you check this out, because I also believe the rating on VGG is really good, and it should be. It's not always easy. It's a dice game, and eventually, so the dice might hate you, and that might have horrible consequences. But you do also have moments where it's the opposite, where you roll a couple of dice and say, "Oh, this is just a Hail Mary," and then it works, and then it's awesome. So yeah, this is G.I. Joe, the deck building game. Like I said, there's one expansion in here, the Rise of Serpentor, and then you have Cold Snap expansion, and more coming. So yeah, if you like it, check it out. G.I. Joe, the deck building game. My name was Joachim. This was So Many Games All the Time. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.